Hello, hello. How's everybody today? Happy Monday. Let's see. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I know YouTube's been having some issues with live streams not not working properly. And lots of people here today. Wow, we've got 11 people. So welcome Monday. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. It was really sunny today, so we sat on the patio, relaxed a little bit, and got groceries. So we've got the cupboards full. So lots of good recipes this week. Easy one tonight. Well, they're all easy, all pretty straightforward, right? But this is a good one. This is a good one. So we bought the ingredients for this mushroom risotto. We're gonna make, but lots of new faces here. So thanks everybody for coming in. We've got lots of regulars. I do thank everybody for joining me 3 days a week. It's a lot of fun. Helps me kind of think of some new things to cook and share with everybody else. So hopefully you enjoy it as well. Yeah, let's get started. The goal of this channel is to try and get a dinner cooked from start to finish in an hour, ideally within an hour. So we'll get going here. This one's pretty simple. We'll go over the ingredients first for mushroom. We're going to do mushroom risotto today, but the base of this, basically the risotto rice, can be. We can go, the sky's the limit. It's kind of whatever you can almost think of, this can go. So if we're doing the risotto rice to start with, we've got here, you've probably seen this in the grocery stores and go, like, what, I know how to cook regular rice, but what the heck do I do with Arborio risotto rice? So we'll figure this out tonight. And we're gonna do mushrooms. So I've got some of the button cremini mushrooms. This can be done with basically this recipe, any mushroom. So if you look in the link in the description, we've got, if you have oyster mushrooms, if you've got shiitake mushrooms, if you've just got the regular button mushrooms, that's fine. Whatever mushroom you like can go in this, okay? We're not making a huge batch of the rice. We're gonna use half an onion for this. About two tablespoons of unsalted butter. I got a little bit of onion peel on there, and a clove of garlic. And then in the end, we're gonna need about it's gonna work out to be roughly a liter of stock, give or take. I've got vegetable stock broth for this one. Now you could make your own stock if you were ambitious. So if you wanted to use, this is going to be a vegetarian one, but if you wanted to use chicken stock, you could use that. I'm using vegetarian stock. I wasn't ambitious to make a stock today, so we're cheating a little bit. We've got the store-bought, no salt added stock, okay? So we're gonna use that for that as well. Before we do get started, I've got it kind of set up. Normally this would be done over the stove, but because this one, the way the recipe works is you're basically constantly kind of stirring, so it's going to work out better. I'm just going to do it in our ever popular Instant Pot, and I'm going to try and kind of angle the camera a little bit so you can hopefully see it, but I'll move the camera over so you can kind of see what we're doing as we go. So thanks for joining in. If you have questions as we go, don't hesitate to ask them in the chat. We've got a lot of people here, so hopefully I don't miss anything. But again, welcome for everybody. We've got some regular people, and we've got a few new people actually as well. So thanks again for joining, and we'll get started here. But yeah, good start. So hopefully everybody had a good weekend. And I'm just going to double check chat, make sure I didn't ask any questions. Instant Pot, yeah, we use it quite a bit on the channel. Make it kind of easy. So for the Instant Pot, normally this would be done like a wider saucepan. Over the stove. So with risotto, we'll get everything kind of ready first, and then we'll start it, okay? But if you do have questions as I go, just let me know. Hopefully everybody's got maybe some water, or some wine, or something to drink. So start with first, I'll let you just watch my cutting board as we go. Hopefully you can see that okay. So we'll start off with just the onion. The onion we want to dice, and you want to dice it quite small in this recipe. This is a white onion. Normally you could also use a yellow onion too as well. I just had this little bit left over, so I didn't want to cut up a new onion, and this is the perfect amount for this recipe. And then obviously, if you've seen my channel, you know there's a video on there on how to dice an onion. So if you wanted to check that out and kind of practice and learn, you can check that out. And we get to the end. There we go. So we've got a diced onion that's going to go in there. And I'll just put this on the side. Give myself some more room. Has everybody here had risotto before at a rest? Usually it's something you'll see on a restaurant, or if you travel, like a lot of times they'll have it like if you're on a cruise ship or something, like the Italian restaurants will have it. It's a very traditional dish. A lot of times it's served as an appetizer with different ingredients. But it is good for a meal if you add a bit more, some mushrooms to it is always good. It's also used as, it's a starch, obviously. So if you have it with a meal, obviously you're not going to have as much of it. But it's popular if you're having it with. I mean, you could really have this with anything. It's good with chicken. Really, risotto tastes so good. It's kind of universal. It's good with fish as well. So if you're having, like, say, a piece of grilled salmon, you could make this with a risotto, but instead of mushrooms, you could do something and add like some lemon to it, a little bit of lemon, some lemon zest at the end. It's also good kind of plain. Comes out very creamy. I'm gonna put that on the side. I'm just gonna mix this in with the onions, the garlic, and we'll chop our mushrooms. Now there is actually one ingredient that I forgot to mention that goes at the end, and I've already got some grated. Got some Parmesan, like fresh grated in the fridge. Some fresh grated Parmesan cheese done up ahead of time. That's going to go in at the end. Sorry, I forgot to mention that at the beginning. So Dean's made mushroom risotto. Mike's hasn't had mushroom risotto. Well, you'll have to try it, Mike, for sure. Nadia's mom makes it. Well, yeah, I know, Nadia, being Italian, your mom would probably, well, your mom's not Italian, but your dad is, but I'm sure she probably makes a really good risotto. And most people kind of shy away from it because it's kind of, I guess, it's a time consuming thing. You'll see the preparation is really easy, but when we start cooking it, you'll see why it's kind of not the most cooked item in Canada anyways. So we're going to slice the mushrooms up. If you have kind of smaller mushrooms, you could also do them in quarters if you wanted to. It's just kind of how you want it. I like the mushrooms sliced. They're not super thin, but we're going to cook them, so they're obviously going to shrink as we cook them. So we'll get this done, and we'll get it started. Has anybody not? I guess it's so. Mike hasn't had a risotto. Has everybody else had it at some time or another? Probably, maybe. Stella's grandma makes risotto. Yes, it's so good. I remember. I mean, when I did my apprenticeship, I remember making it and eating it for the first time, and it's like it's so good. Your mind's blown. So I've got the pot heating up, and we'll show it in a minute here. But I'm going to there's about 2 tablespoons of butter. Now we're going to make This is a kilogram. We're not going to make obviously the whole box. And what I did a recipe I made some the other day, and I've kind of figured that a third of this will give a nice enough meal for 2 people that are fairly hungry. Ooh, truffle risotto, yeah, Christine. If we had some truffles to grate that on top at the end, that'd be great. So we're melting the butter. Hopefully, let me just see if I can get you. Hopefully, everybody can kind of see. We're gonna melt the butter in the pot there. It's gonna be nice and bubbly. So we'll get that melted. And once the butter is melted, it's going to look like a lot. It's going to look like a lot of butter in there, but that's what just makes it so good. Is the butter that's in there, the garlic, the onions, and as we cook it, it's we're going to be continually, basically, you're going to see me talking it here to all you and just stirring the whole time as we get in there. So let's put in the onions and garlic. And you'll see how easy this recipe actually really is. So we want to just sweat off and saute the onions for a little bit, just so they'll turn. I'll show you when they're ready, but they're going to be kind of translucent. Just before that point, though, we're going to put the mushrooms in as well. Is anybody? I don't know. I was a bit kind of lazy, and I didn't put up the recipe because partly because we didn't have groceries, but. I didn't put up the recipe till this morning, but if anybody's following along, let me know. That'd be great. We had someone actually following along, making when I made it was on Friday, I guess, we made the black bean vegetarian patties for burgers. Those were a hit. I know, Christine, I saw that you said that you made them, Christine and Dean, so hopefully you liked them. You said you liked them. I was actually really surprised. I hadn't made the recipe before, and they were really good. So if you're looking for a vegetarian burger recipe, check out my channel. Some of the past, I think most people here have seen it, but for the new people that are here, I've got that one. It's been popular, and I know I don't think Kelsey. I don't think Kelsey's watching today. I'm not sure, but she was following along last time on the live stream, so that was kind of neat, and she liked them as well. So you'll want to check those out. Does everybody here like mushrooms? Is there anybody here that doesn't like mushrooms? Stella, do you like mushrooms? I'm gonna add those. We're gonna add all the mushrooms now too. It's already smelling good. Stormin likes, and sorry, Stormin, I can't remember your name. I remember I saw your channel. You were making a spring rolls. I saw on your live stream. Christine likes mushrooms, so thumbs up for mushrooms. That's good. So we're making something that hopefully most people like. We don't need the cutting board anymore, so I'll get rid of that. And then I can move our pot kind of more over to the middle. So you'll be able to see a bit more. Hopefully I kind of have the camera so you'll be able to at least see me at least stirring, and then I'll be able to pull it over and just show you. So I've got the mushrooms and the onion sauteing there. We're gonna keep doing this till they're basically, cooked. Really loves mushrooms. Good. So I'm making a good one. And I don't know, Nadia, if your mom is watching, hopefully I'm making it similar to how she makes it so far. I'm sure she'll let me know. And I'm going to put a little bit of some pepper in there. We'll add more pepper later. Yeah, she'll tell you, I'm sure. This is kind of the easy part. You don't really have to watch. These aren't the mushrooms and the onions. There's a lot of butter in there, so they're not going to burn on the bottom. But once we add the rice and when we're doing the stock, you'll see that this is where you have to really watch this dish. Hey, Freddie. No, you're not. You're not too late. We're just getting started here. We're doing mushroom risotto, and we've just started. So we've got the mushroom sautéing, along with the mushrooms, a little bit of garlic, and we're just sweating off. We're just sweating off the onions and cooking the mushrooms that are in there. Jovelyn. That's what Stormwind's channel is making. Lumpia, and I've never seen. It was like it ended up being like a Filipino spring roll. It looked really good, actually. I'll do spring rolls on here, maybe one day. Yes, Freddie, the black bean burgers were a hit, so you should make those one day. All right, so I'll let you take a look. You can almost kind of see the mushrooms. They let out all the liquid's going to start to come out of the mushrooms. So you can probably see, hopefully it doesn't steam up too much, but you can see it kind of go in there. So what we're going to add now is, so we've got this was the Arborio Rice, one kilogram bag. And you don't wash this rice because we want to keep the starch that's in there. And I made one batch already. I'm going to take about another third of what was like half of what's left. So to kind of put in the third, and then add that all into the and this will give it this two nice size big size meal portions. If you were cooking this and using it as a side, like with a side dish, like as a starch, this would be really good. I mean, this would almost serve probably four people, 4 to 6 people, quite a bit. You're gonna get quite a bit. And at this point, this is when you don't really want to stop stirring, because what we want to do is we're gonna saute this with all of the onion and the mushrooms right now. And then we're going to slowly add stock. Yeah, measurements, Lois. I know. Being a cook, it's almost like it's kind of by look a lot, and I'll try it, and it's really eyeballed a lot, and that's hopefully something you can maybe learn. You can learn a little bit too, because especially with this one, we have to kind of play it by ear. With a risotto, it really depends on how hot your pot is, how much is boiling, how big it is, how much liquid's bubbling off. So for measurements, it's kind of difficult with risotto, because it's gonna change a little bit. So, and then what we're gonna do, and you don't want the stock cold. You want it basically this is coming out room temperature. We're going to add basically almost like half a cup at a time, and we're going to stir. We're going to keep it stirring as we go, and really, we're not going to stop stirring. So your arm is going to get. I mean, you can stop for sure. I mean, if you have to take a break, you have to take a break. But we really want to keep this moving around, because what that does is the rice is going to rub together, and the starch is going to rub off, and it's going to get nice. And what's going to happen is going to get nice and creamy, and that's why you see a risotto that's when you're eating it, it's like almost it's just like a rice pudding almost, but it's from the starches and that of the rice, so it comes out nice and creamy. So this recipe vegetarian. The stock is vegetarian. You could also use self-serving skillet. Hey, welcome. And yeah, it is a risotto workout. This is really why not a lot of people make it. I mean, I think the payoff is worth it, because it tastes so good. I mean, you can't go wrong with rice and butter and mushrooms and stirred in cheese at the end. It's nice. It's a nice rich dish, so you don't need a ton of, you don't need a lot of it, but it is very time consuming. It's not too bad. It's just you can't really do a lot of other stuff when you're making it. You have to really watch it. So if you have other things that you're cooking, you do want to watch this, because we don't want to burn it. Because it's not like regular rice where you can just dump the water in and then cover it and you're done. it wouldn't turn out. You do have to keep stirring it. Good question, Nadia. I was going to mention that before I put the rice in. Normally, what you would do is you'd have, say, a half a cup of white wine for this amount of recipe. You could deglaze the pot with a white wine and reduce it. I didn't put that in basically because I don't have any wine, and I didn't go to bother to buy any wine. We don't drink, so I didn't bother using wine. So you can omit that. It will change the flavor a little bit, but it's okay. You don't have to worry. No lid, Susan. Right from now, we're basically stirring, and the heat is on like medium high. So it's I'll show you here. It's bubbling, and as the stock that I've added gets absorbed by the rice and reduces, what we do is we add more stock, and we just keep stirring until, and we'll know when it's ready. We're gonna need about a liter of this. We'll probably need all this stock, so we'll know that's when it's done. It's gonna be like an al dente. We'll have to taste it to make sure to tell when it's done. You can really, the camera won't necessarily pick it up, but you can tell. You'll be able to tell when it's done because the rice will almost be creamier. Right now, when I'm looking at it, the rice is still the individual grains, but they're going to start to break down from the stirring and the cooking. So, as Christine said, that's a waste of wine. Well, it's good, but you're not gonna, if you're just making it at home, you're not gonna. If you don't have any wine, don't worry about it. Keep it in the glass. Have it on the side. Well, Susan, if you've never made risotto, you can, after watching this, you can try making it. We're making it like tonight as the main course, but like I said earlier, is if you wanted to make this as a side, you could have, if you had some salmon in the oven, you could do. This would be good. The chicken would be good with mushrooms for sure. If you did maybe like a lemon risotto is really nice with seafood. If you had some prawns or some salmon, even halibut. We made the other day. We made with broccoli. A little bit different. Same standard method of mixing with the rice, but you add the broccoli later on at the end, so it doesn't overcook and get all mushy. But mushrooms are fine because they'll stay okay. Risotto ball, Christine. In theory, you could make risotto balls, but in reality, this stuff tastes so good that you want to eat it the same day. It never lasts. It won't last. And I mean, risotto balls are okay, but risotto is never as good. Like even other rice is never. Leftover. It's never as good. So this one especially, you want to definitely eat it the same day, because once we take it off and we finish it, we stir in the cheese at the end. It kind of almost keeps cooking a little bit. So as it cools off, if you haven't eaten it, it just turns into like a really hard ball, and it's never as good. Any rice. You can, at the hotel sometimes to save time, like wouldn't necessarily save time, but just for working at restaurants, they would actually do, because obviously if someone orders risotto at a restaurant, you're not going to want to wait, 25 minutes, half an hour or longer for someone to sit there and stir it's impossible. So what we would do is, when you're making it in a restaurant, you can actually, and you could do this at home too, you would cook it till it's almost ready and not add any cheese, and then take it off the heat and lay it on a flat tray so it cools off very quickly and doesn't get overcooked. And then you can still kind of break it apart. And then what you would do is, per order, so you would cook it till it kind of only needed about 4 or 5 minutes left. And then when you had an order for it, you would take what you needed to heat up, and you heat up in a small saucepan with stock the same way, and you'd finish the process. So you'd be only stirring it for a few minutes, and then you'd be stirring in. Then you would stir in and finish with the cheese and stuff at the end. So one way you could even do that at home if if you wanted to make risotto. If you're ever at a dinner party and you don't want to be over the stove for too long, you could do it that way. So this is smelling really good. So we're just adding the stock slowly, half a cup at a time until it all kind of absorbs into the rice, and then we're adding more and keeping to stir. Hey Sam, welcome. So for the stock, good question. This is a vegetarian self-serving skillet. This is a vegetarian one. So I've got. I didn't make a vegetable stock because I didn't have any groceries, but I've just got the regular vegetable broth you could use. You don't want to use. I mean, ideally, you'd make your own stock, chicken stock, or in this case for the vegetarian one is vegetable stock. This recipe, like with risotto, you always want to use a stock. Water is just not going to give it the same. You want the flavors. You need because it's. I mean, at the end of the day, it is just rice, so you want some flavors in there. So the vegetable stock, at the very least, is what you would want to have it with. If you were making it and serving it as a side with chicken or something like that, you could use chicken stock. It's also good. Oh, Nadia, make risotto and add mozzarella and ham, bread it and fry it. Yeah, so that's kind of like I guess almost like the what would they shape them in? Would they like patty kind of things, or how would they do that? Now the thing with the stock, this container was 900 milliliters, so about a liter. And if we're running a bit, if I need to add a bit more at the end, I'll add some water at the end too, if I need to. But you just don't want to do all water with risotto. But it's smelling good. I'll just give you a look here. It's basically going to look the same until we're going through. You can see it bubbling away there. Hopefully, smells good. And I'm just keep stirring. That's all it is. Keep stirring. Don't let it burn. That's the key. And you get a good workout. If you had if you needed to get your weights in, you could put a weighted wristband. Be like exercise. Oh, like a cylinder. So like croquettes, little croquettes. Yeah, you got it right. You're right, Sam. So for Sam or anybody else that's just kind of tuning in as we stirring here, I can easily recap this one. It's such an easy recipe. So at the beginning, I diced up a half an onion, and I chopped up one little clove of garlic, not a whole bulb of garlic, one clove of garlic, and about 2 tablespoons of butter. So melted the butter, added the onions and garlic, and you sweat those till they're about translucent. And then I added the mushrooms after the onions were translucent. Sauteed off with the mushrooms for a while. And then I added the Arborio rice to the dish and stirred that in, sauteed that together for a while. And then we're at the point where, it's probably been, I want to say 10, 12 minutes. And we've added about half the stock. So you can, this is the one thing with risotto, it would be a lot easier if everybody was standing around watching, because you could always you can always, like when you're cooking it, you can feel the rice, and I can feel without touching it or tasting it, just with a stirring, that the rice is not done. You can feel it. It still feels hard as you stir it, and we wanted to make sure that it keeps getting cooked. Javelin, that is, you know what, I've started to get some of the ingredients for baking. I'm not a big, I'll admit, I'm not a big baker. My cooking training was done like was like chef kitchen cooking training. I did some pastry and baking stuff in my apprenticeship at the beginning, and other than like helping out a little bit the odd time in pastry shops, I don't have a huge background in baking or pastry, but I did buy some stuff to make, some simple stuff that want to make. The problem is right now with everything that's going on, it's very difficult, at least here. I don't know everybody else, but I can't find there's no yeast. So I was wanting to make some pizza dough and also some different recipes with some stuff, but there's no, everybody's waiting for the pizza dough. There's no yeast. We looked again today, so it's gonna have to wait. We've got everything else, but we're just kind of waiting. Everything else was in stock though, so it's just the yeast. We'll get some eventually. But and I also want to make. I've got a good scone recipe to make, so we'll make that maybe coming up too. But yeah, we'll make the pizza dough when I get some yeast, because fresh pizza is good. But I never did. Yeah. So, but I never did a lot of pastry stuff. I've done it. Again, this comes down to, I guess, Lois, with your question, was measuring, because a lot of times with cooking, it's not we're not measuring as much. We're just using our eyes and the feel and everything else. Where I never, with baking, it's such a precise science that it was never my thing. Yeah, yeast is. Can you mail it? Yeah, I'll give you my address. Send me an email. I'll give you the address. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I actually almost forgot. My mom is watching. I think she said she's going to watch today. She hasn't figured out how to get logged into YouTube yet to watch, or to comment. So we're trying to figure that over the phone. But I think she's here. So she said, she messaged me. She's like, "I'm gonna watch. Make sure you say hi." So hi, Mom. And it was so hopefully maybe she'll be, if she's not watching live, she'll be watching when it's recorded afterwards. I don't know if they let you mail these. I don't know. They must let you mail. Who knows? Maybe not across the border. I don't know how it works, Stephanie. I can wait. We've got everything else. I'll figure something out. I'll look for some recipes that I don't need yeast for, that I can do. I mean, I don't need it for scones, so this is coming together nicely. But that stock's not going to quite be enough, so I'm going to use a bit of just clean out the bottom of the container and get the rest of there if needed. But we're almost there. It's probably about 10 minutes from this. So we'll have dinner done, like with the goal of the channel being dinner within an hour. We'll be there. It's a lot of work for one dish, but as everybody knows, it's worth it. But it is getting, you can see here it's getting creamy. I'll just give you another look. So it's gonna still kind of look quite liquidy right now, but as we go here at the end, we're not going to be adding as much stock all the time, because we want to keep the consistency of this. I mean, you don't want it too soupy, because traditionally it is served on more on a plate than a bowl. So we want to make sure that it's going to hold its shape, not be too thick as well, because it gets too dry and kind of gluey, but not too runny, so it's going to run everywhere on the plate. Yeah, you just have to keep stirring. No, not tired yet. It's not too bad. It's easy. It's not like it's stirring anything heavy or hard. It's just kind of keeping it moving. So the starches, so the rice, like basically what happens is the rice is rubbing together and breaking down. That's what's going to make it nice and creamy. If we were just let it sit, it wouldn't be the same. But it really smells good. It smells like a really nice home cooked mushroom. Like the mushrooms are really nice, rich mushroom soup almost. Look at it with the butter and it's not, I mean, there's no cream in there, but it's very creamy. It has an almost creamy smell. But we're getting there. Risotto machine. You know what? Good. That's a good question. I know there's recipes. I mean, we are doing this in the Instant Pot, but I'm doing it on saute. I'm not covering it or anything like that. I did see online that there is an Instant Pot recipe, but I don't know if it's how it's done. I think risotto is one of those. It's like one of those old traditional dishes that it's. I mean, if there is a machine, it's probably. I've never seen one, but it's almost one of those old traditional such a simple dish that you don't want to ruin it, and I think part of it is part of the what's so good about it is the reward of, you obviously have to stir so much, but the reward of getting the result is a lot better. It's like baking your own bread almost, right? The bread it always tastes better when you've put your sweat into it, and it's keeping the tradition of making that. I know there's bread machines and stuff, but I don't think the bread is near as good as if you do it yourself and take the time. There's lots of recipes like that, lots of dishes like that, old traditional kind of dishes that Jonathan's hungry already. Who else is hungry? I didn't ask, I guess, what everybody else is having for dinner tonight. Monday dinners. Leftovers. I've still got some leftovers in the fridge too. When I was getting ready for this too, Freddie, I cooked a bit too much rice yesterday, so we'll have it tomorrow. I mean, rice 2 days in a row. I didn't make risotto yesterday, but I had regular rice with some chicken. Oh, Christina, that's right. You're making black bean curry with kidney beans. That sounds good. I found a good recipe, Sam, for garlic naan bread that I saved that I'm going to make. I'll maybe make one day on the channel. It looks really, really, I love garlic naan, and it looks really good. And you don't need it's done in a frying pan, except I need some yeast. But it looks really good. I saw it on YouTube. That's how I found a few people that are watching tonight. There's so many channels of people cooking right now. I mean, I think a lot of people do it normally on their YouTube, but there's so many people on YouTube doing cooking live channels, and there's so many neat ideas to find. And that's how I found the garlic naan. It was on a YouTube. It's one of the channels. I'll track it down, Sam. And it looked fairly simple. What's Mike having for dinner? I missed that part. Mike, nothing for dinner, maybe ice cream. That's not good for you. Thanks for coming. Thanks, Norm. I'll check out yours later. I'll see what you're making tonight. Scrambled eggs. That's okay. I like a fried egg sandwich sometime for dinner. That's always good. Okay, that's the last of the stock. So this should be almost ready. I like yeah, Lois. Scrambled eggs is good. I like fried eggs. Fried egg sandwich is good. Breakfast for dinner is always good. Don't have it often enough. Jason's watching. Hashtag Jason. I don't know if he's on the chat. He's watching some Apple TV show. So preoccupied. Free labor. I know. Should be switching. Got to switch. If I could stir with my left hand, it's not. But we're almost ready. You can feel the rice getting softer. I'm just gonna get a spoon to give it a taste. Yeah. So once this is at the right consistency, we'll be done. And pretty good for time. So we're at about 40 minutes. That's cracked pepper. Needs more pepper. We're not putting any extra salt in this. You can. We're obviously trying to keep everything as low as sodium as possible. As a bit of a cheat, though, obviously there is salt, and we're not going to put all this cheese. We're just going to finish it with cheese, but there's salt in the cheese, so that's usually enough salt for stuff. You can add a little bit if you want. So the texture right now, good question, Christine. Thanks, Dorman. Maybe some people will go and watch what he's making. The texture right now, yeah, I guess would be, it's getting softer. It's not, if you push it against the side, it will mush and break. So we don't want to, do that. But it's kind of like, yeah, I guess if you looked at it now, if you can see, I would say it's like oatmeal, like the consistency of oatmeal that you would be eating. And at this point, because it's getting thicker, you really want to be careful that you're not burning it, because it can really stick. And you can almost kind of like turn the heat down a little bit if you have to, because it is really bubbly. Let me see if I can show you with a spoon. Maybe some of the consistency, Christine, might help. So if you're ladling it, it's quite liquidy. Hopefully you could maybe see that. Doesn't look it doesn't it doesn't always look the greatest when it's like that. But we're just going to keep it stirring until it's a little bit thicker. And then we'll turn it off for a sec, and then we'll get it all plated up. Definitely oatmeal. That's a good analogy, actually. It's going to be firmer than oatmeal, though. Like oatmeal, you want to cook all the way through, obviously. But with risotto, you want it still a little bit al dente. If you cook it too much, it's just going to go to complete, kind of complete mush. Have like, I don't know if you've ever had congee or rice pudding. It's going to be like, it's almost like it'll turn to that if you cook it too long. So it's a real kind of fine line. It takes about 25 minutes. The interesting part about the risotto box is it. I mean, it tells you the cooking. It tells you the estimated cooking time, 14, 16 minutes. I find that's usually off. But the crazy thing is, most people like, especially I don't know in Canada or North America, but there's no recipe on like how much liquid to use, anything like that. So if you're looking and you buy this, you're like, well, I bought it. It's great. What do I do with it? So I think that's maybe why most people are a little bit nervous trying risotto at home, because they don't know what the heck to do with it. Because it's not like making regular rice. Okay, we're almost there. Just gonna give it a taste to make sure I've got enough. Cooked enough. Okay, we're basically done there. I'm gonna turn the heat down just to let it sit for a minute to kind of pull all the rest of the good eye on this 2-spoon trick. Yeah, so people that haven't watched yet before, the 2-spoon trick, you've got a spoon for tasting, a spoon for cooking. And if you're tasting stuff, you take that and you can put it onto your tasting spoon so it doesn't mix in with the food. That's tasting good. Doesn't matter who, clockwise or counter. Yeah, depends what hemisphere you're in. All right. So here, I think I'll hold the cat, Christine, and everybody can see. Yeah, wax on, wax off. You can hopefully see if maybe the consistency now is definitely not as soupy as it was even 2 minutes ago. So it's getting there. Basically, I would say basically we're done now. So I've got it turned off. Still gonna cook. It's still gonna keep cooking. But with risotto, is you do want to eat it fairly quickly after it's ready, because if it's sitting hot, a lot of stirring. Yeah, that was like 20 minutes of stirring, 25, 30 minutes of stirring. Because it is going to keep cooking. So when you have to time it. So now we're going to be eating in like basically 5 minutes after I get it on a plate. A bit longer. I'll taste it in front of everybody, and then we'll go from there. To finish it off, though, you want to put in you have the fresh grated Parmesan cheese. We're not going to use all this. This is kind of more to taste. It adds a nice, well, it's cheese. So you want to make sure you want to grate it, buy the Parmesan and grate it fresh, if at all possible. Not the dried powder. Don't use that dried powder Parmesan. It's not going to be as good. I mean, if you're in a real pinch, you could use that, but not necessarily recommended. Now, if you don't want to have it with cheese, like if you want to you could make this. I mean, this is vegetarian. You could omit the butter and use some like olive oil would be good if you want to make this like a vegan dish, or not have dairy. So you could have olive oil instead of the butter at the beginning. And then what I found it works well as a cheese replacement, to kind of, because the cheese is going to give it the bit of richness in there as well. Is it's good with actually a little bit of the coconut milk. Canned coconut milk, because it gives that nice richness as well, stirred in at the end instead of cheese, which is good. All right. Lots of stirring. So hopefully that was good for you, but I'm going to get the plates ready, because we'll get it on a plate. I'll do a taste test, of course, to let everybody know how it tastes, although I've been kind of tasting it, but not with the cheese. If anybody has any kind of last minute questions, let me know. Oh, Sam, good tips. Probably do a cashew cheese or nutritional yeast. Yeah. I know. I just an option. Storm, just options if someone wants to, or if you don't have. I guess that's one thing. But again, if you don't have butter, there's probably a good chance you don't have coconut milk either. But the butter we use is unsalted. You could use regular salted butter. You just won't have to add as much salt. So there we go. It's in there. I am going to now. I'm gonna get a nice plate for this. So I'll see if we can show you here. Last minute, we're just going to stir in some cheese. It's also nice to have it on top at the end too, so you can save some on the side. The cheese is also going to kind of thicken everything up as it sits. Oh, look, it smells good when you put the cheese in there too. Okay, so we'll get this on a plate. We'll do the taste test for everybody, and then we'll let you all go. We'll do the signing off, and we'll let you get going for your dinner. Just going to put a little bit on now to try it, but you'll be able to see. Let's go with so you'll be able to see the consistency of it there. I mean, it's not flowing all over the plate, so it holds a bit of its shape. If you had some fresh, nice, if you had some nice fresh, there's a little bit of cheese on top, but if you had some fresh chopped, fresh thyme is kind of nice on there as well. If you could put on there. Christine, yeah, white plate today. Maybe I could use blue, anyways. But let's do a taste test. Thanks everybody for joining me. 15 minutes, so we're under an hour. We did good today. I did, Nadia. You missed. We weren't paying attention. I've got cheese mixed into the pot. I've got it on the plate. You can see how it's not moving. So that's good. It's gonna be good. And I've got some sprinkled on top here. This would be amazing served with some grilled chicken, Susan. Very good. Yeah. So we'll get a taste. Smells good. Yeah, that's really good. This pot will be all gone within 5 minutes. That's exactly it. This is we're gonna eat it as the main course because it's so good, but it's a great side or a starter. With salmon or prawns would be good. Lemon is good with lemon risotto. With salmon is good. You could do broccoli risotto is good as an appetizer. There's also, you could do bits of asparagus. Lemon and asparagus would be very good with salmon. The sky's the limit, really, with risotto. You could do squash in there as well. It would come out a nice yellow color. Even the mushroom one would be good with a little steak, for sure. So there we go. Thanks, everybody. As I keep eating, you can tell it's good. It's really good. If you've never made risotto, now you know how. And hopefully this shows you that it's actually really easy to make it at home. Try something new. If you make this at home and have friends over for dinner, when we can all have friends over for dinner, this will wow them like you would not believe. It'll be it's like eating. It's such a simple, easy dish. It just takes a while to make, but it's such an easy thing to do, and it really does impress. And you should try this when everything is back to relative normal, and you have a friend over. Make this for your friends and family. They're gonna be they'll be awestruck because it tastes so good. It's so simple for so few ingredients. So thanks so much. And Christine, yeah, very good point. I am at, I think, 798 subscribers, members of the channel, which is awesome. Thanks. I know everybody here, I think, is subscribed, so I really appreciate that. As we sign off, if you could all hit the thumbs up and like button, it definitely helps out. Lets me know that you like the channel. We've got 21 people watching right now. I think that's a record, which is good. That's awesome. We've got more live streams scheduled. I'm not going anywhere. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we do at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. So if you do check out the channel, when you do see the live stream there, you can if you're subscribed, you can hit the reminder. The time it shows it in your local time for how your computer's set, so you know what time the live stream is going to start. But if you do hit the little button to remind you, it'll pop you a reminder before it starts, so you can come in and join us. It's okay if you join late. Hopefully you learned something today, and we'll do this again on Wednesday. So thanks so much. Thanks everybody for subscribing. If you could, I always appreciate it that everybody that shares this video, I see it come through on Facebook. Everybody shares it as I share it out. So I really appreciate it. It's pretty cool to see a channel getting almost 800 people already. So that's pretty awesome. People watching me cook and hopefully learning a few things. But that's it. We're done, and go enjoy your dinner, and don't forget, wash your hands. Thanks everybody for joining, and we'll see you on Wednesday.